Here we go. Between your ears, number 10. We're throwing up the X like Des Bryant. Cool. It's been 3 weeks, and I guess apologies to like the 5 to 10 people that watch. Your boy's been dealing with the health issues. First month, man. Like your boy got spine surgery, which I'm doing all right with, and then got a nasty fever that was just it's just that time of the year where it's just gross. Um, so we got a little bit to catch up on. As always, I'm with my esteemed colleague AJ, and we got some. We're in the owners' meetings now, aka the Everything's Fine Fest from literally every team. It's like any reporter that gives any kind of like sharp question or anything hard, they're like, no, everything's fine. Like, nothing to see here. Everything's fine. We love Lamar. There's nothing wrong here. Yo, Ewok first. Shout out to our boy Ewok. Go check him out on Twitch at Ewok Village. You might even end up playing with me and Schlag here sometimes, but Ewok is doing the best work in Overwatch, creating a positive environment for all to join. He even puts up with me dying every other minute. Schlag's actually AJ's actually good at the game. AJ's actually good at the game. They just carry me. They just tolerate me for the memes. They have to like you two have to like defend me against like 12-year-olds teabagging me in that game.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's the absolute worst. But yeah, let's jump into it. We got Lamar here. Let's see what we pull up here. Let's go to Lamar first. And we got Lamar here, and John Harbaugh kind of met with the media today at the owners' meeting, as he typically does. He is that level of coach, and we could see him here. Everyone can see that just fine. He's over here trying to basically save himself here. Yep, Ewok, the Lamar saga. And yeah, you want to take the floor on this one?
All right. So I know that we've kind of maintained that we assumed that Lamar Jackson would probably stay, that they would probably figure out a way to mend the two sides and come to an agreement. I don't know about you, but in the past, I don't know, 10, 12 hours since this story broke, I've seen a lot of trades for Lamar in dynasty leagues.
Yep.
All of a sudden, whatever implied safety that Lamar was supposed to carry is now under threat. People are afraid of him moving to a different situation. Like, you have to wonder why, if the timing for all this times out, where he had already asked for a trade the same day that Rashad Bateman had blasted Eric DaCosta on Twitter. I saw that somewhere. You have to figure, like, don't you think teams are already negotiating with him with the franchise tag? So I personally, like, I haven't really wrapped my head around like what actually is behind here anymore, because all teams have been able to negotiate with him since they signed that non-exclusive tag. So asking for a trade really just takes the Ravens out of it, but that really doesn't change what they're willing to offer him. You know what I mean?
Trying to look at who the Lamar's next team odds are. Who has the best odds?
Is it still the Colts?
Depends on what site it's looking like now.
Yeah.
Colts. Depends on who it is. I like DraftKings. Let me see if I can find something on DraftKings. Yesterday when I took a look at it, it was the Colts and then Patriots. Um, then I heard the Falcons became the favorite, and there we go. They have Tom Brady odds out there.
Oh my God.
Um,
I think a better shot bringing Tom Brady back than Lamar Jackson for New England. I can tell you that right now.
DraftKings has the what? That's weird. As of January 19th. Oh, okay, that makes no sense. Why do they even have that?
I don't know.
Can't find it. Why can't we find odds on this? See if we can find odds on it. Because it's that they had the Jets as the favorite, and that's clearly not. That's clearly not. They're fully in on.
Did you? So speaking of the Jets and Lamar Jackson, did you see? I think it was Douglas's comments. Joe Douglas had made comments. Somebody had asked him about being in on Lamar, and he responded, "Well, I think negotiating down that road would be negotiating in bad faith." So he literally just outed himself, saying that he's not interested. They're not interested in going after Lamar Jackson. I don't know why you would volunteer that. You use that. Like,
Well,
what are you doing?
Well, we talked about that before. We talked about that already, where he has ties to them. He has ties to that organization, and he's just not going to cross Baltimore. That was his first organization. He came up in that organization as a scout, and he is a longtime scout for the Ravens. And out of all the teams that that weren't going to play ball for the fully guaranteed contract, he's just not going to cross his former bosses. Maybe more than I don't want to say maybe more than any sport, but sports in general are kind of an old boys network. And if, whatever blows up as the Jets GM, he has two fallbacks. He could go back to the Eagles organization. He could go back to the Ravens organization. He makes this deal for Lamar Jackson. He basically hurts his long-term security, because you can't take our franchise quarterback in this fashion and then come back and ask for a job. So unfortunately, we could call it mob ties. We could call it whatever. The Jets were never going to go for Lamar Jackson. It's just not going to happen. That being said, I really don't understand. So Ballard is the only GM so far to come out and say that he's in on Lamar. And look, Lamar detractors can say whatever it is. I hear them. I don't agree. I think Lamar is a transcendent talent that puts you on a near equal playing field against any quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes. I hate when people are like, "Oh, he can't beat Mahomes." Yeah, no one can.
No one can.
No one is on Patrick Mahomes level, and people need to stop with that. Like, Mahomes is one of one, let it be. But Lamar Jackson, he's on his best day can look Superman in the eyes. And there aren't many of those quarterbacks out there. And I don't care what anyone wants to say, this or that about, we want to nitpick. He is a 26-year-old Heisman Trophy NFL MVP who, if you look at that Baltimore team, he had them as a playoff team. And based on what Tyler Huntley did against the Bengals in that playoff game, I think if Lamar Jackson plays that game, they beat the Bengals. And hell, they might be looking at the Chiefs and a banged up Patrick Mahomes and licking their chops. We don't know. And if Lamar could have played, I think he made a big mistake not playing, because he could have gone the Joe Flacco route. I don't know if that Ravens team beats this Eagles team, though. Let me make that very clear. We're getting too deep into hypotheticals there, but basically what I'm making my bona fides here is I love Lamar Jackson as a talent. I think he is that special of a player. That's why I still have I'm staying consistent. I said the Lions are my number one spot for him. I really think that that's the team that should make the jump for him. I think they should capitalize on selling Goff at a high. If they can get off Jared Goff, because either they keep Goff and they're going to have to pay him, which I don't advise. The Rams did it; they hated it. I really think that they should sell Goff. And I really think he galvanizes that team, man. He turns the Lions from, I think, the division favorites to number one seed favorites, because they're going to have an easy divisional schedule. If they can get it, they had a good free agency. They have a lot of draft capital. They don't even have to trade their first number one pick. They don't have to trade the pick that they got from the Rams. They have enough money. I say giddy up, and you add Lamar to David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, whoever the hell they find at tight end, and you go for it, man. Why not? Aaron Rodgers is out the division.
Yeah, I think like that's probably the money fit of, like, realistically, you have the cap space and the resources to burn a little bit more than the rest of the teams. I still like the Falcons. I think it's just pairing him with the other superhuman talents that are on that team, like Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I think that would be just a smash pairing. But I couldn't complain about either of those. Really, there's maybe one or two teams in the NFC that should not be banging down on their door. So I mean, I just don't know what. Right.
I mean, who else? I mean, the Giants can't. They just paid Jones.
No, they should have. If that was the play, we should have been.
I mean, hell, maybe they could have sold dimes and a one for Lamar.
I'm saying.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We're just throwing hypotheticals out there.
Right.
Would Dallas trade Dak for him? I don't know if they can from a cap.
I don't think so.
You don't think that they would?
No.
Interesting.
I think the problem, though, with Lamar is that while we see a lot of these quarterbacks coming out hyper athletic and dual threat, and Lamar is definitely in that 101, as you said, in that realm specifically. The problem is we don't really have a lot of information about what type of quarterback the Ravens want him to be and what he was forced to be for them. Before all of this really started to go sideways, I loved the Todd Monken hire. I thought it was an indication that they were going to put the Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson where they wanted to go, because what they were doing was no longer working. Right. And so I think you need to have that structure in place where he's going, because if you don't, you're probably going to get more of the same, and nobody's bulletproof. The former MVP, the Heisman winner, has been a little lackluster this year, and it's not just because of these last couple of years. It's not just because of the injuries. It's not just because of the talent surrounding him. It's not been good. He's not played all that well, and I think at this point it's just time for a change.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Lamar played fine. I mean, he was 17-7 in 12 games. I think we've seen this with Roman, though. He runs stale. He runs stale in places. I think Monken's an interesting hire. I liked his press conference where he was like, we like to spread them out and throw the ball. It just so happened the last time we did that, we had a quarterback that couldn't stop throwing it to the other team. Jameis Winston out here catching strays for Monken's time down in Tampa. Yo, talk about the Colts, buddy. I'm going to guess this is Rodrigo, and if it is, shout out Rodrigo. My guy. We could jump to it. We could jump to you want to do Stroud versus Bryce Young? We could get a little Indianapolis talk in there.
Yeah.
Indy right now is sitting at the 104. Yeah, it is Rodrigo. What up? What up, my guy? Um, so Indy's sitting here in an interesting spot at the 104. We kind of assume that Bryce Young and Stroud, or Stroud, Bryce Young, however you want to have it, that's the 1-2 right now. I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yep.
Even if the Texans trade out, we don't know if it'll be. We know it's going to be the Panthers at 1. They're going to take somebody. That's kind of set in stone. That's kind of non-debatable. To me, it really looks like they're going to take Stroud, but they are doing everything they've done with Stroud, they're doing with Bryce Young. So I don't think it's set in stone yet. So if those two go 1-2, the question is, do the Cardinals hold at 3? And they have a whole host of opportunities there. They do have a roster bereft of talent. It would behoove them to trade down. Maybe even Indy does like the Mitch Trubisky trade where they move up one slot to make sure they get who they need. Or they trade for Lamar, which would cost them this year's 1 and next year's 1. It doesn't have to be that per se. They can negotiate otherwise. And that could be a thing. I don't think that they would have to trade both 1s if they trade number 4. I think they would trade number 4, maybe 2 2s in the future, spread out the hit, because Chris Ballard really, 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 really loves his draft capital. I think that would be a massive win for Indy. They need a facelift. I mean, if not for Daniel Snyder, everybody would be talking about what a shit show Jim Irsay is running in Indy, because they went from Frank Reich, which I didn't like the firing. We talked about it in Gen Chat. We were like, what is going on here? Why are you doing this other than to tank? But to go to Jeff Saturday, that was just, I mean, that's up there with like Ted Turner coming down from the ownership box to manage the Braves in terms of like absolute ownership clownery, buffoonery mixed into one. It's really interesting here. If I'm Chris Ballard, I'm taking the opportunity to go for Lamar Jackson. I've been pretty consistent with that. I said that for nearly every quarterback needy team, which is about half the league right now. If you can afford the cap space, I think you go after Lamar Jackson, period, point blank. You erase this Andrew Luck period of not having a guy, and all people will remember is Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, shit, and then Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I don't think it even – we were talking about, is it more of a risky gamble to go down the veteran quarterback road again? But now with how this draft is falling, I think they're in a really crappy spot to the point where they should be moving up if that's what they want to do. But because we're talking about Ballard specifically, I don't even know if him getting a young quarterback even buys him time. I mean, his coach was just fired out from under him. Irsay was, hostile takeovering the roster. Right. And it's kind of like Denver almost, where it's just,
I think he's pretty safe. If he survived this, I think he's fairly safe.
Well, but I'm saying, so if you get a rookie in there, do you think that,
I think he has a year. I think he has a year. I think Irsay, he's typically hands off here. I mean, he let Ryan Grigson ruin Andrew Luck's career.
Typically hands off, and that's why it was weird that he came in here and did that.
Yeah, he let Grigson ruin Luck's career. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. If I'm Indy, man, I don't think the roster is that far off. I think they're better than what they were showing at the end of the year. I know they were down Shaq Leonard. The O-line play kind of fell off a cliff. It's either Indy or Washington that really, in terms of need, they need to make this move for Lamar. I think Indy's there, man, because what's the other option? Let's say Arizona doesn't trade out. Let's say they get the third quarterback. It's Levis or Richardson there. Does that inspire you there?
That's what I'm saying. It's a tough spot to be in. So I would rather just bypass it. The only problem is that I just can't visualize Lamar Jackson in a Colts jersey. I'm trying. Like the all whites. I just can't see it.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
gonna be a
need to
little
see it with
weird.
my own eyes.
I mean, it would be. I mean, him and Taylor in the same backfield. That's talking
With that
about
offensive line,
fantasy impact.
the Steichen offense coming to town.
I think that offensive line would look a lot better with Lamar Jackson there. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Yo, Jared, what up, my guy? You guys know how I feel about Jared. One of the best in the business. If you're in a league with him as your commissioner, you are in good hands. Jared says Stroud for the win. I like CJ Stroud. He ran a 4.5 40. Who saw that coming? Came out here with ridiculous numbers. Although it's a pro day 40, that's still pretty good. I mean,
At OSU,
yeah, that's a fast track. That's a
Yes.
fast track. We're in agreement there. The Cardinals should definitely trade down, but I don't know, man. If they're staring at Will Anderson, Jonathan Gannon's the DC there. I wouldn't hate it if they gave Gannon a piece. It's kind of a lost year there. You kind of just take a guy there. I don't know if they trade down. I'm not sold on that. I can imagine them entertaining maybe something with the Colts if they smoke screen well enough. But yeah, Rodrigo, there you go. That's how I feel about the Colts. They should go for Lamar. They need a new identity. They really do. The Colts need to erase last year ASAP as fast as possible. And I don't really, in the South, I know we're bullish on the Jaguars. I'm a big fan of Doug Peterson. We believe in Trevor Lawrence, but if the Jaguars missed the playoffs last year, would that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, things coming together the way they did.
Yeah, but on the magnitude meter, that wouldn't be shocking.
No, it's a young team.
Yeah, it's a young team. Like that could happen. You got to go for it in those divisions, man. Both South divisions are wide open for the taking. Let's hit back to another team that needs to wash away the sins of last year. My former rooting interest, the team that shares a home with your team, New York Jets, out here playing. It looks like they're playing chess with checker players here. All this talk, so it's been being sick, and for the last 2 weeks hearing, oh, the Packers have the leverage. Oh, the Jets have the leverage. Oh, no, actually the Packers have the leverage. No, the Jets have the leverage. It's been so annoying to hear. So many people declare it, and they have no idea what they are talking about. And I'm here to tell you, the Jets have all the fucking leverage.
They do.
It's not even fucking close. What's the one thing that we know? Because we're not in these conversations. We're not in buildings. We're not there when Douglas and Gutekunst talk to each other. But what's the one thing that we know for a fact? The one thing that we know for a fact is Aaron Rodgers knows how to throw a tantrum and a shitstorm to get him out of wherever he wants to go. You want that in your fucking locker room? And you're talking to, I'm a big Rodgers fan. I think he's misunderstood a lot of times. I do think he's a little, I'm smarter than the world at times, but hey man, whoever gets there, who doesn't have that quality at that superstar level. What I'm saying is, if the Packers really are moving forward with Jordan Love, you cannot have that in your locker room, and you're losing premium picks. Right now, the Jets picks are the 13th slot in the draft. You're not getting the 1, but you can get the 2. They just made a move with Elijah Moore to get another second. I think all the clock is ticking on the Packers, not the Jets, because they have an OC where Rodgers already knows the offense. He can come in June, July, whenever it is, and it'll be better than what we saw last year. I don't know, man. I think this is, and given how we know how I feel about Brian Gutekunst, the Packers GM, I have full faith that Joe Douglas has the upper hand here. because that guy is a moron. That guy is a literal moron. Oh, hi, I have a generational quarterback. Let's trade away Devontae Adams and not replace him. Great move.
No, I mean you can debate whether or not bringing in Rodgers is the smartest decision for long-term or even short-term success for that matter. But yeah, I agree that they have. I don't think the Packers really have any leverage. They have a place that they want to go, and they haven't done it for going on 3 years now. I think that pretty much says it all right there.
It's fascinating to me where, and I was talking. I mentioned this to you off camera, where it's like we're seeing who the shills are. We're seeing who are Packers front office shills, and we're seeing who's like a real reporter here. And then we're also seeing who's friends with Aaron Rodgers. You're seeing everything, where you're just seeing where everyone's allegiances are in the media, and it is fascinating to watch from like an objective point of view. I think that, I mean, I think with the Jets, if they send anything less than a 1, they win. Even if they send their higher second, I think they do that. I do think Rodgers is better than what he showed last year. I just don't think he can do superhuman stuff anymore, which is fine. We saw, Tom Brady wasn't a superhuman when he won the Super Bowl with Tampa. You don't have to be a superhuman. They have Lazard, and I thought getting McCole Hardman was funny because we all know Rodgers needs a 4'2", 40 wide receiver who has bricks for hands. Yeah. He has to have a whipping boy there.
Got to get his Marquez.
Yeah, that fills the MVS role. And we're only 2 guys away from his wish list: Odell Beckham and Mercedes Lewis. I don't really mind the Mercedes Lewis signing. He's a blocking tight end. He fits that scheme. And the Jets always could use leadership. Now, are you a little worried about Garrett Wilson shares? We'll switch to a little bit of fantasy talk here. Are you a little worried about Wilson shares if they sign Odell?
No. And the reason is because we already saw Odell come in and play a major part for the Rams. And
with Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp was well on to his record-setting pace. Kind of the same thing with Odell. He's had back-to-back torn ACLs now. He's up there. He's 29 or 30.
Yeah.
Same thing. He's a great quality receiver that can help complete a task, but he's not this anymore.
No.
So he's not somebody that would he's somebody that I would be interested in, like fantasy and real life. I want him on my teams, but I don't think he's going to be, chopping at Garrett Wilson's throat like some people.
No,
he's a bigger name.
I don't think that it'll affect him too much target wise. I could see maybe a couple touchdowns though, because Odell did look pretty good in the red zone for the Rams, and that was about the only thing that we kind of saw. The Rams kind of, I don't want to say force feed. But we saw them make a concerted effort in the red zone. Like there was one drive, they got 1st and goal at the 1, and Stafford threw like 3 goal line fades to Odell, and they ended up kicking the field goal. But they were like, "Fuck it, we're gonna try to get him the ball. Fuck it, we'll try to make him happy." I could see that maybe happening a little bit. And the one thing that I really want to make clear for everybody with the whole Rodgers to the Jets thing. I'm tired of this. It's Super Bowl or bust. I'm really, really fucking sick of it. The Jets are not a Super Bowl contender if they get Aaron Rodgers. Let's make that period, point blank, stick it in an envelope, send it out. Getting Rodgers alone, they are not a Super Bowl contender. Can they become one? Sure, but this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs since, I don't know, 2012? Is that the last time they made the playoffs?
Yes.
We're talking about over a decade of not making the playoffs. And like this might be like New York fan syndrome that drives me nuts, where it's like, oh, we're gonna go all the way. Like we see it with the Knicks, where it's like, oh, we're gonna sign LeBron and we're just gonna go to the NBA Finals. Like, no, you're not. How about you just make the playoffs consecutive years? How about we do that? How about we set a foundation? How about we set a culture of winning? That's why I love the Knicks right now with Jalen Brunson, man. But it's just like, how about with Rodgers, we get 2 years and we make the conference championships in one of those 2 years. And I know people are going to be like, "Whoa, I want the Super Bowl." Like, how about we sustain winning? How about we have back-to-back double-digit win seasons? How about that? How about we just make the playoffs? Like, I don't understand it. It blows my mind how people are like, if they don't make the Super Bowl, it's a bad trade. No, it's not. You know, it's a bad
Especially
trade.
if you're not going to be, giving up the haul that we don't think they don't have to.
Yeah.
Just
You know what's a worse trade? Fucking running Zach Wilson out there. That's worse. Not doing anything.
yeah.
You know what's worse? Signing Jimmy G. That's worse.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. No QB1 seasons, Derek Carr. Bum. Bum. I used to be a Derek Carr fan, and then like looking at his stats, man, I think I'm riding the conductor role on the hate train.
You definitely are.
I am on there. And
You might do all right this year.
let's pour one out for both of us. As noted, we're both card carrying members of the Trey Lance fan club.
Yep.
Not a good day for us.
No. Nope.
Not a good day for us at all. This presents only one positive opportunity, people. Go buy Trey Lance for the 210.
Yep. I mean, what I learned is that the real threat to fuck them picks in the NFC West was not the Rams. It was the Niners. They have lit everything they've owned on fire, and they don't have a Super Bowl to show for it.
No, they do not.
So entertaining to see how this has played out.
They have like 7 compensatory picks this year, though.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's a bunch of threes, which is impressive, but
still, that's like going into a startup, and you're just like, I just want the entire 6th round.
So it's funny because we're pretty diehard fantasy players, and there are occasions where we can make sort of like those smooth brain moves where it's like, I need quarterback, so I'm going to draft the high quarterback, with like the 101. Like I'm going to go BY over Brees this year or whatever.
Yeah.
And just in case I'm wrong, I'll take Hendon Hooker in the 3rd.
Yeah.
The Niners actually did this with real draft capital that they had to sell and acquire. And they're just like, see, it worked out. We got a quarterback, which
they did this before, though. They did this in Washington. The Shanahans have done this before.
Yeah, they have.
I think I was about to say misunderestimated fucking George Bush up in this bitch.
Misunderestimated.
I underestimated. If you look back in Washington with Robert Griffin, they went to Kirk Cousins pretty quickly. They drafted Kirk Cousins in that same draft that they traded the world for Bob Griffin. They were like, we traded our life to move up to 2 to get Robert Griffin the 3rd. And at our next pick, we took Kirk Cousins just to be safe. Like,
I'm unreasonably frustrated that I didn't draw that parallel between the Shanahans, Mike and Kyle.
Yeah,
and the exact same thing has played out.
Fudge. Brock Purdy is the next Kirk Cousins. You heard. I still think Trey Lance is going to light up minicamp.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think this is like a death knell, because as of right now,
it's not good.
No, it's not good.
Oh yeah, this was not a good sign either. The Seinfeld going higher on the head.
No, it's not good. But what it does mean is that, okay, you can put him out there if you want to. You can start him if you want to, but right now he can't play. So you got to have, fine, bring in Darnold. get Lance back out there. But this is
It's
it.
scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. Especially
Honestly,
in
I think at this point, I'm just hoping for a trade.
our last startup, I took him at the 403, and I knew it was risky there.
Yeah.
And now it feels bad, man. It does not feel good. I should have paid that 7th rounder for Purdy. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Lance. I still don't think that they're out of the woods on Lamar. So that could be their saving grace, man. Send Trey Lance, send 2 1s. But I don't know how they could conceivably sign Lamar
There's no way.
because they still
not with
still have to pay Bosa. They still
Yeah.
have not paid Nick Bosa.
Yep.
They're gonna have to trade Debo. I think that's the one dynasty trade that, like, I know last year I was screaming Vegas is gonna trade Josh Jacobs, and I was wrong. I really thought that they were, though. You know, who the fuck plays any of their stars in the Hall of Fame game? But yeah, go buy Trey Lance for the 212 if you can. So what happens? Does him and Lance just switch values now? I mean, Lance and
No,
Purdy, do
no,
Lance
I
and
don't think so. Nope, because with this archetype of quarterback, the late rounds, meat and potatoes white guy is basically what it is. People don't trust them as far as like how you rank them up. Kirk had to work his way up. Even Dak had to work his way up, even from where he was drafted.
who does Brock Purdy move ahead of right now? Is he ahead of Kenny Pickett?
Yes, Pickett was the first one that came to mind. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
I was like, Pickett. That's right. That's my line right there.
He fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's my layup. You got to be better than Pickett.
Brock Purdy or Mac Jones?
Brock Purdy.
Whoa. No way.
I'm not warm on Mac Jones right now. You can bring in Bill O'Brien.
I cannot
all you want,
wait to
but
talk about the Dak trade then. That means you're in favor of it. Oh,
Yeah.
lovely day for the JT. Let's go.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, no, I really yeah, pour one out for your boy Trey Lance there. It's not good. It is not good. What else we got? All right, so let's get into Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. Do you have a clear one over the other?
Not one that I would take to the grave. I've still maintained that I prefer Bryce. But I definitely have warmed considerably on Stroud as the process has gone on. It's so hard to poke holes in what he does. Like he is a quarterback whisperer's dream because he doesn't have to teach him anything. He just has to show him like, okay, this is what you can't do now, but you know everything else. Like he doesn't have a ton of bad habits. He doesn't, lock onto progressions or one reads that a lot of young quarterbacks might do. You would think he would have a lot more bad habits with how loaded his receiver core was. Even Justin Fields did a little bit of that, and different situation, different weapons and whatnot once he got to the NFL, but he kind of stared down some stuff. And I mean, I still think Fields is probably a better prospect on the whole than Stroud. But when it comes to that, he is not shy to work through his third and fourth progression, which is kind of rare to see in a lot of prospects. And that's just that's top shelf stuff that you can get. When you start putting that on tape and people start talking about it, that's going to put you in high company. And I think they're mostly like a 1A, 1B right now.
Yeah, I got Stroud's combine profile up. Got a pretty good prospect grade here. Didn't realize he was that young, man. He's a redshirt sophomore.
Yep.
He's from California. Didn't realize that either. They didn't give him too good of an athleticism score, but I think at his pro day, he showed a little bit better than that. Super high production score. He kind of has everything that you want. He's a 5-star, top 50. NFL comparison from Lance Zierlein is Jared Goff.
And see, that's not even a bad comparison. Like,
I mean, it's
I know it's
not, but it's
funny.
not what
It's
you
funny
want.
because it's Jared Goff, but I mean, Jared Goff is
Are his hands
kinda...
tiny? I mean, look, you could do a lot better than Jared Goff. I mean, if his NFL comparison is Jared Goff, I mean, he'll be a happy man.
Right.
Hey. Strengths. I don't know if I'm not feeling the Goff. I was gonna say, you know what Stroud feels like, and people are gonna freak out. I'm probably gonna get crucified for it. He feels like if you subtracted bad from Carson Wentz, like only good Carson Wentz. Only good.
See, that's where you're getting me, is only good.
Only good. Pre-Jadeveon Clowney scrambling his brain, Carson Wentz.
Mm,
I don't know,
I think
man.
Carson's he's built a little bit bigger. He was a little more physical when he did take off and run. I kind of see what you're saying. I mean, he's way more polished than Carson was after year
They have
5.
him as a Pro Bowl talent.
Yeah, I think that's
Like that.
accurate. I mean,
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to be better than Carson Wentz. Let's be very clear. When I say only is good, it's not bad.
No.
I really think his combo. I mean, that 40 is really sticking out to me. I don't care if it's a fast track on your pro day at Ohio State. Him running a 4.5, the fact that he has that kind of speed at all, I mean, that's ARich territory. We were losing our mind because Anthony Richardson put up all those like numbers at the combine. Well, apparently Stroud is a 10th within him.
Well, what I will say about, if you're asking about comps and stuff, not necessarily to their games, but when it talks about like projectable floor and ceiling and stuff, I would see CJ Stroud as more of like a Mac Jones.
With legs?
There was another one in my head that I just lost. Oh, like Tua. Distributors. Like they get the ball where it needs to go on time, accurately, and don't make fucking mistakes. A lot of those guys don't run because they don't have a reason to. So it's not Fair. I don't think he will run, because he probably can and will, and it'll be a useful part, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a huge part of his game, because he always gets to his 4.3 if he needs to. Like, just
I don't think he's a design runner. I don't think he's you don't run QB power with him, which is fine. You don't need Patrick Mahomes doesn't run QB fucking power. I think that's what I see there in terms of his running. If he could be like Mahomes. Now, I'm not saying everything else. He doesn't have Mahomes' arm. No one's Mahomes. But I'm talking about in terms of running production, at least for fantasy and in general. I mean, if you run let's say he runs a 4.6. All right, because I'm not buying Ohio State 40 times, just so we're clear. I ain't buying that. But 4.6, that's what Andrew Luck ran. Mm-hmm. That's what
the fast tight ends run.
I was about to say that's what the fast white quarterbacks run, but
Danny Dimes.
Didn't Dimes run like a 4.4 or something? Dimes ran something stupid.
I don't remember.
I gotta look. What did Dimes? Okay, so let's say 4. What do we want to set the over under? If anyone's here, put in your guesses. What was Danny Dimes' 40 time? Yeah. Danny Dimes. I'm even gonna put Dimes 40 time. Fuck did he run? Oh, it's only coming up with Vanilla Vic. All right, I'll put Daniel Jones. Oh, Jesus. We got any guesses? What's your guess?
Well, I had said 4.6, so if I say that it was higher, I'm going to be lying.
4.6?
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's a lot worse than I even thought it was. I thought it was much better than this, but apparently it's not.
What? And there you go, right there. Daniel Dimes is revered for his scrambling ability and his rushing. And
Really?
he
Oh no, it
runs.
says he ran a 4.67 at his pro day. Unofficial.
Okay.
But at the combine he ran a 4.8.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, like,
So he's like a 4, let's call it break it even. He's a 4.7 guy.
Okay.
That's crazy. Ran a 4.8 and people were like, he's a running quarterback.
Hey, perception, man.
That's
When they're used
gross.
that way.
Ah, man. That's gross. Don't like that.
BY now.
Don't like that. All right. Yeah, let's do BY. Let's take a look at him. Look, I just think the Panthers are gonna take Stroud. I think he just fits Reich's archetype. McCown's enthusiasm seemed genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he basically told him, when you get to Charlotte, we're gonna play horse or whatever. We saw that on Twitter on the video. That wasn't a miss. Like there's no misreading of lips there. I just it just seems like that's where they're going. I think I still have Bryce Young as my personal 101. That makes sense. I don't think the Panthers are going to take him. I think it's going to be Stroud there.
Yeah. I mean, I've maintained that if he was the traditional size quarterback, that we wouldn't really be having this conversation. But he is not. And while
Both
I don't
California
think the
boys.
size, right? And while I don't think the size is that big a deal, once he goes to the right spot and gets acclimated, they will figure out how to do it. If the size was to be an issue, if you had to just account for it as a variable, a piece of data that you have to watch, you use that against you try to justify taking him over CJ Stroud, and Stroud just doesn't have enough flaws in his game. I don't think that his ceiling is on Bryce Young's level. I don't. But I think that if you are the team that traded up for the 101, you want to make sure you hit it. And I do think that CJ Stroud is not only just the safer pick, like for in this frame of mind, but like you're also not sacrificing a ton of high end. I think he can, he can sling it with, Stroud can sling it with just about any of the top 8 quarterbacks in the right situation.
Yeah, I mean, the chatter coming out from his pro day is that the people that saw him were impressed with his arm strength. That they were like, they're like, no, you got to see it in person, which could be like his agents just throwing something out there. But Zerline has it Drew Brees as the NFL comp, which that gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't think that I'm of the opinion. I don't think Hall of Famers should be compared comp to rookies. I don't think that's fair. I don't like those comps because it's just like, why? We're setting someone up for failure there.
Right. And I mean, I don't even think he even plays like Drew Brees. Like, I understand why they picked it because he's a short guy and he can make anticipatory throws, but he doesn't play like Brees at all. Like,
I think Drew Brees wishes he was Bryce Young.
He might. So I mean, with Bryce, the end of the day is he's got some special that nobody else in this class has. Like, not saying nobody else in this class is special, but his ability to maneuver the pocket is, dare I say, Mahomes-esque. He always knows where to go. He always knows he's not perfect, but there is some Mahomes to when the play breaks down.
Oh God.
And when he, I don't want him taking hits. Really, all I think he needs to do is be disciplined and give himself up when stuff starts to break down, when things are closing in. Just turn and slide. Fight
Hit
the
the
next down.
Tua judo class. Hit the Tua judo class.
Yeah,
Go
that's the
go.
one.
He's from Pasadena. I mean, Ronda Rousey trained out of Glendale. That's not too far away from there. Could
Okay.
go see if you could hit her up for some lessons or something there.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
the wait is a farce. I'm
it
so
always feels
tired of talking about it. I just want it to be over.
it feels like it's always something. I mean, with Burrow, it was his hand size.
Yeah.
I think Dimes had some of that going on. It really, to me, is when you have that kind of tape, there's just certain ways that you have to be built around. He needs two massive guards. He
Mhm.
in that I kind of see the Breeze comparison where in terms of offensive line construction, you should look at how did Russ succeed? How did Drew Brees succeed? How did Doug Flutie succeed? It's typically with two monster guards there. And, with enough depth on their drop back, they find seams. I gotta say, Bryce Young, man, his tape is fucking amazing, man. I really, if like you said, if he was 6'2", if he was 6'2", this wouldn't be a debate. But I will say the other thing that really kind of stands out to me with Bryce Young, and this isn't a knock on any other quarterback, but he gives me the most, he gives me the best feeling of this is the guy I want to represent my organization versus the other guys. In just terms of maturity, he seems the most ready. He seems the most polished. And I think that's a big component as we saw. This isn't just, being a jaded former Jets fan with Zach Wilson, but that was a big part of why he didn't succeed as a Jet. He did not, for whatever reason, exude that kind of control, that CEO aura that is almost necessary. Now, you can go too far with that. Look at Russ in Denver. He went too far. You have to kind of it is a balancing act there where you still have to be one of the guys. And I feel like Bryce Young's leadership qualities are tier 1, man. I really, really, really like Bryce Young. If I had the number 1 pick, that would be my guy. That would be who I'd be rolling with. But that's not to knock CJ. I really like CJ Stroud. I think Stroud's awesome too.
Right. And that's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, if you can't poke enough holes in front of the guy ahead of you, he's going to go ahead of you. And as big a Bryce fan as I am, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I would understand.
Yeah, I really think that this is just going to come down to Reich is going to fall back to what he knows. But that being said, Scott Fitterer is part of the front office that drafted Russ. So do we see an early power struggle here in Carolina? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Another guy that kind of upgraded himself in my eyes a little bit was Will Levis. I liked his pro day. And this is coming from, let me articulate where I stood on him before. I was a bit on the downside. Wasn't a big fan. I didn't really like the early comps that everybody had for him. But after the pro day, seeing him answer a few questions, I think he's going top 10. Now, is he Christian Ponder or is he Justin Herbert? I don't think he's either of those. I think he falls somewhere in between. Let me put it this way. I think he's better than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I think it's relevant to bring up for Will Levis that he unfortunately shares the same draft class with a one Richardson Anthony. Because if he was not in this class, if he stayed at Florida for another year like he could have,
Yeah.
because there's debate why why he came out early. He didn't really play a lot. He could have stayed and probably still been a similar, but that's not the conversation.
Didn't
So
want to
if
be in
he
that
was not
Caleb
in this
Williams
draft, and there's actually a reason why he couldn't be, we would be talking about Will Levis the way that we're talking about Anthony Richardson, not on that level
Interesting.
of athletic, prowess, because he is elite of elite. He's not going to touch that, but the toolsy physical running style, the hose for an arm, he would synthesize a lot of how we feel about Anthony Richardson just by being himself.
Is he Jay Cutler?
He might be Jay Cutler. And here's the problem. You see that stuff. You already brought up, we're not supposed to bring up the
I mean,
the
Jay
Hall of
Cutler didn't
Famers
have a
and
bad career.
no. But
But he's not what you want to spend a first round top 10 pick on.
No. So you don't want to bring up Josh Allen too swiftly, because most of the quarterbacks that come out of this mold don't become Josh Allen.
I don't see that.
Josh Allen becomes Josh Allen. I actually see it. I see it on the field, and I understand.
Oh, he's
do you not see his face? He looks like Josh Allen. Do you not see it?
He's from your neck of the woods, sir.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Connecticut boy.
Yeah.
Oh, no. 6.34 prospect grade.
Yeah.
That's what they have. Will eventually be a plus starter. Okay. Sounds about consistent.
So, oh my God, look at his player comparison.
Ah! I got that one.
Oh, he's Jake. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. He has all the physical gifts.
Feels good.
But when you watch him play, he does not have the feel for the game. When you watch somebody like Justin Herbert, somebody with a hose for an arm, you can see that there's purpose in when you throw those rockets. There's purpose behind them. It's to get them up and over a lurking defender and underneath the coverage.
You can rockets some flat throws though. I've seen him bounce it off some people's face masks.
But when you watch guys like that and what Josh Allen became, there's always a reason. When you watch Levis just throw piss missiles, like there's no, it's like into quadruple coverage. He's not layering it over. That he just doesn't. He shows that stuff all the time. So he shows the piss missiles and he shows the rollout deep bomb.
Yikes!
But there's not a lot of touch throws. There's not a lot of anticipation. It's more just see it, throw it.
Oof.
And you can't always do that. What are you oofing?
What I'm reading on the screen.
Inconsistent post. Yeah.
Yikes. Yep. That's scary.
So the one thing that I will give to Levis that I've actually heard pretty consistently in a lot of the different media outlets that I listen to, but when I actually talk to people about Levis, nobody brings it up. He was allegedly pretty damn hurt.
Yeah, that's what they're last saying year. Down here.
And I think you're hoping that was some type of severe discomfort to the point where it was affecting all of his throwing mechanics, because the year before wasn't quite as catastrophic as what it was looking like his final season at Kentucky.
He also had a pro coordinator in Liam Cohen. So all right. Interesting. He's most connected to the Raiders. I don't want to comp everybody to Mac Jones, but is he just like Mac Jones's bigger brother who could do everything better? Kind of is doing
From a physical standpoint, yeah. But he's a
that's a
bull in a china
disservice to
shop.
Mac.
He's
Yeah.
he can't do what Mac does.
His ceiling is what? Roethlisberger?
That's not bad. He's not as big as Roethlisberger, obviously, but
No one is. I don't know. There's something about his face I don't trust.
I think I would welcome Roethlisberger, like young Roethlisberger, more than I would Josh Allen, just because it's
I
so
don't.
rare
No
that when you
one's Josh
see
Allen.
Josh Allen, right?
No
You
one's
can't
Josh
project
Allen.
like, it hasn't been 3 years yet. He'll learn how to throw.
No one's
Like,
Josh Allen. Brian Daboll will not be his OC. I'm not. I ain't with that. No one gets those comps from me. I just won't do it. It just won't happen. Will Levis. All right. If I have the 107 in a draft, maybe. I do have 106 in Gen Chat, and where I'm at right now, I don't have him in that top 6.
I don't either.
I don't see it.
He's knocking on the door, but I don't have him there either.
All right. We got one more to do here, and it is, I think, the best combine workout for a quarterback ever. Maybe too hyperbolic. I don't know. Jesus Christ, he ran a 4.43. Okay, so Stroud's not close, but Jesus Christ, this monster. Switch to it. Dun, 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 dun. ARich. Okay, so he got a higher grade than Levis. Got a 6.4. Will become good starter within 2 years. So he got a little bit of a higher grade than Levis. Athleticism scored 99. They should have just said broken.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. Like, if he was a defensive end, his measurables would still be amazing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he'd be a little undersized, but he could absolutely play edge in the NFL.
Good Lord. 4.43.
Yeah. This is like TJ Watt territory, by the way.
That's, dude, I don't think people really understand how this is a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God. Oh, they gave him Cam Newton. I don't like that. He's not Cam.
No.
No one's Cam coming out. I don't like that. Cam Newton is one of one. Cam Newton is like Zion Williamson. He's one of one. Don't compare anyone. There's no one like him. I don't like that one at all. But all right, let's try to roll with it a little bit, I guess. I'm going to throw a name out there, and I'm probably going to go a little outside of my depth here, but it feels a little Randall Cunningham-ish.
Okay.
Like a modern Randall Cunningham.
Well, that's why I was going to say like a supercharged Justin Fields, because you have the slender, quick, twitchy runner like LAMAR, where, he has a very specific running style. And then you have Cam Newton, who's a bruising power back that could, run goal line with anybody.
Right.
So I don't think Richardson plays like that.
He doesn't look 240. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's because
in a good way. In a good way.
Right.
Holy
so I think he's more like in that Fields, where like Fields is clearly a little bit bulkier than Lamar Jackson, just about everybody else is. And he's got wheels, but he's got enough, like just enough bulk and just enough power to like make guys bounce off him a little bit. Like when you watched Justin Fields run for over 100 yards in multiple games last year, like a lot of it came after contact and not just like, they reached out and got a finger on him. Like guys were trying to wrap him up and he slipped out. I think Anthony Richardson runs a little bit like that.
I stand by it. I had him as the 102 in fantasy football in a rookie draft. People have been giving me shit about it, but I highlighted what I needed to highlight there. Ran for
touchdowns of 40, 50, 73, 80, and 81. Yep.
That's all I need to know, man. There is a difference between in real life and fantasy. I don't know if he's an in real life quarterback. I don't. I really. I think anyone who says that they know, salute, congratulations. I don't know if he will. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be very, very. If you tell me he ends up in Atlanta with Arthur Smith, okay, I'm buying it. If you're telling me he ends up with McDaniels, I'm a little nervous. Even if you try to convince me about the Cam Newton year with McDaniels, I'm still a little nervous.
Yeah.
But there are certain spots. I mean, Anthony Richardson with Vrabel, with him and Derrick Henry in the same backfield. That gets interesting. He's better than Malik Willis. I mean, that was hilarious. That's a win for us. Because we were both sitting there like, what is going on? This guy played at Liberty. He's not that good.
I understand that there's some willing blindness. If you're not going to look at, if you don't play Devy and you're not going to look at all the classes coming in, but to have the rushing quarterbacks that came out in 2021 or 2020 and the rushing quarterbacks that are coming out this year, the Malik Willis hype was irresponsible. Are you kidding me right now?
But it wasn't only Dynasty though. The books had it wrong.
I know.
The books had him at over.
They had him at the draft like he was going to get drafted in the first round, and he didn't go till the third. He wasn't even the first off the board.
How many people took the over? I want to know. I want to see those tickets, man. I want to see those tickets.
But
I had $50 on the under, so that was fine by me. Yeah, no, that was easy money. I knew the Steelers weren't going to take him. I just knew the Steelers weren't going to take him, and that was the only team that kind of made a modicum of sense. Do you know how many mock drafts last year had the Eagles taking Malik Willis in the first round?
No.
Disgusting. Disgusting. Yeah, they're all scrub. You can look them up, though. They're fucking hilarious to see. Should be on Freezing Cold Takes for forever. But yeah, Richardson. So we're going to have 4 quarterbacks in the top 10.
I would actually say that maybe.
Huh?
I would actually say that maybe Levis could slide a little bit. Whoa. He would be the one I would peg outside the top 15, not Richardson.
I don't think he makes a top 15.
We'll see.
White guy showing off the Aaron Rodgers throws. I think he'll be okay. I think there's too many teams that need guys. You know who I think, they signed Baker. I was going to say, you know who I think trades up? Tampa. He's like the perfect Bruce Arians kind of quarterback. Levis.
Yeah.
Vertical attack.
I mean, we already made the Big Ben comp.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next? Dynasty trades? We want to do free agency winners and losers.
Well, how long do you want to go? We're just over an hour right now. We're actually making pretty good time for us.
Yeah, we're doing fine. Your call. Or if anyone in the chat wants to hear something, you want us to do free agency winners and losers, or you want us to go to the dynasty trades, you let us know. You have 60 seconds unless AJ makes an executive decision.
I I was just giving you it out in case you wanted to do one of those for another
We
episode.
could.
If you didn't want to do both.
I don't know. I'm back in the swing of things.
All right.
We're gonna
I'm here,
be
ball.
smacking these out all the time. If there's any updates. If anyone has any specific questions, again, holler at me at jtbetweenyourears@gmail.com. You can always jump in the comments section. You can find me on Instagram at jtcubano, and follow me and all the other fantasy shot callers. I am trying to convince AJ to make an Instagram, but he's continuously telling me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
We'll get him one of these days. Fuck it. Let's do winners and losers. We can do it quickly. Do you have anyone that jumps out to you? and no Texans. No Texans. Obviously the Texans, they had nothing. Of course they're gonna have a much better team.
Yeah. I mean the Bears, like the problem is like the Bears had the sexiest move. It's such a great outcome, and they're still going to be fucking terrible. But it's just so I have to accomplish getting that, having the stones to, we talked about, Fields, whether he should be there or not. Sounds silly now because they made that decision.
Well, we didn't know that they had that trade. Hold on. I didn't know that trade was that trade.
We had talked about not that trade specifically, but we talked about like you have to have those conversations when your roster is this bad.
Yeah, that trade. If I knew that trade was there, I'd be like, okay, maybe you should keep Justin Fields if you could get that kind of haul.
Look at the Bucks. Look at the Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks are so bad here, man.
That bar is hysterical.
The Rams, that's got to be mostly Jalen Ramsey, right?
Yeah. Yep. And they also I mean they're just shedding salary left and right. It's a lot of role players.
How did the Colts get hurt that bad there? Who did they lose?
They lost a bunch of linebackers, I think, because they lost ARich.
They lost. Oh shit!
Yeah, a Giants signed ARich.
Oh.
I think the defensive line is in flux. What am I missing?
The
Here?
Niners?
I'm trying to think of.
How did the Niners get smacked here? McGlinchey?
It's because he's a tackle.
Oh, Hargrave.
Even if he's not that great.
Hargrave.
They also lost Jimmy Ward, the slot safety.
Yeah, they'll be okay. That's shocking. That's shocking to even see the Saints got that much worse with Carr.
Well, I mean, the Saints binge and purge every year.
Wait, what is this? Impactful offensive moves. What?
There you go.
So who did
defensive?
They got hurt. I don't fucking understand what. So this has to be collective.
Yes.
How did the Saints get worse? They got Carr. He's a massive upgrade over Dalton. Did they lose Ramczyk? They didn't lose. No. They didn't lose anyone of significance. They still have Lattimore, right? I know there was like whispers that they'll have to get rid of him. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's more. It also has to do with. Oh no, it is change in war. So it is.
I mean, the Bucks lost Brady. They're a big loser to me. The Rams traded away Ramsey for a third and Hunter Long. They're a big loser. The Colts. I don't really see the Colts as a big loser, to be honest with you. I think they'll be okay. They got Steichen in there. They have high draft picks. I think they'll be okay. ARich, I mean, inside backers are fairly, off-ball linebackers are fairly easy to replace. The Niners lost McGlinchey. You know what? I think they'll be just fine. They added Hargrave. I don't know how they added Hargrave for $484.
Makes no sense.
I mean, good luck blocking those guys now, though. That's going to be very interesting.
Yep.
The Saints, I don't see as someone who've gotten patently worse. If anything, I think they've gotten fringe division contender. They're probably the odds-on favorite at the moment.
Mhm.
I think the Browns will be better just by osmosis of Watson having a normal year and, his allegations and stuff going down the memory hole. I think people have already kind of forgotten it about it a little bit. You know what I mean? This isn't me advocating or anything like that. Like we've said since the beginning when we started Between Your Ears, is we're not going to do the morality judgments here. We're only going to judge what's in front of us. And Deshaun Watson is the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. If that bothers you, I totally respect it. If you don't care, I totally respect that as well. Not advocating anyone's off the field judgments. He's the Browns quarterback. He's pretty good at throwing a football. I'm not here to judge the rest of it. I think Baltimore should be ranked higher in terms of getting worse. They had to cut a lot of guys. Calais Campbell being a massive loss, in my opinion, there. And they're
about to
probably
have another massive loss.
they have 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks on their roster. They'll be okay.
Yeah, they do. You're right. I was way ahead
So-
of myself.
So, a question. Let's say they trade Lamar, right? But they trade him for firsts that are out of quarterback range. Do you roll Tyler Huntley?
Who's left on the market? It's not good. I know it's not good, but who's
I
left?
don't know who's left. Flacco? Flacco's a free agent.
I mean, they would bring, not to start, but they'd.
Oh, that would be awesome if they. Oh, what did it bring you? It brought you back to me. No, they can't go Flacco. It has to be Huntley, and then who else? Who else is there? Are they gonna? Is there
It's funny
massive?
because I just saw a meme of it's like the leftover quarterbacks that haven't signed yet are all like laughing and celebrating and cheering because Lamar's going to be on the move, and it had all their names, and I saw it like 2 hours ago, and I forgot all of their names.
Yeah. Is their grand play like? Are they going to trade Lamar for 2 1s and then sign Tom Brady?
God, would Brady play in Baltimore? They're
just to stick it to Belichick? Do they trade for Bailey Zappi?
No. I
What
think you
else?
gotta go.
Who else can they go with? It has to be Huntley. I don't know, man. I think Lamar. Is he going to go to Miami or San Francisco, and the league is just going to break?
No.
I want it to be Miami.
Nope. Miami's already
I
put
want
it
it
all
to
in.
be. I want it to be Miami. That would be the fastest offense ever.
It would.
And Tua seems like a hardball kind of guy.
Yeah.
They could protect Tua. I trust Baltimore's ability to. Anyways, let's get back to this list. Vikings, cap strap. They're gonna get worse. I don't think they're a playoff team next year.
Titans too.
Titans, cash strap. They're gonna have to start cutting people. They're begging people to take pay cuts. Good luck with that. I think Vrabel should have got out while he could. But he seems like the king of Tennessee. He could do whatever the hell he wants.
Yep.
Kansas City. Did they get worse? I don't know. They lost.
Well, they
Brown.
lost some big names. So it was Brown,
Frank
it was
Clark.
Juju, it was Frank Clark, Thornhill on the back end.
They lost Thornhill? Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he went to Browns. Thornhill, I think, went to the Browns.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, Super Bowl teams tend to get worse. Guys got to get paid.
And remember, a lot of these are it's change in war. So it's not just the departures, it's the net of their additions too. So if you haven't done a lot,
yeah,
you're not gonna.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot still left on. Well, I don't want to say a lot. There's a lot left on the market in terms of trades and things of that nature. Like if they get Nuke, what does that change? That probably changes that significantly. Eagles, yeah. I think the Eagles had a great offseason. I'm gonna be honest
Considering
with
how
you.
much we thought they might have lost.
Yeah,
Like
man.
they
I think
ended up pulling Slay and
yeah, I think they did. I don't know what it's gonna look like in the future, but man, they did not lose as much as we thought that they would.
right.
And they have massive amount of draft capital. And we're seeing Jalen Carter kind of be this year's Laramie Tunsil. Not in terms of like severity of it. Again, disclaimer, not excusing anyone's actions. I don't want to get canceled. I mean, fuck it. Well, what's the worst that could happen? But mostly just, just looking at the market and seeing where it's trending, it looks like Carter's going to fall. Falcons, I don't know how they got worse. They got rid of Mariota. Packers, we know Rodgers is gone. Bengals, another team, kind of like the Eagles. We were like, how the hell are they going to survive? I like that they're not going to trade T. Higgins. I don't think that they should. Then we start to dwindle down to positives. We got the Bills. I don't know how they're negative, but Bills, Jets, Jaguars, Steelers, Raiders, all negligible moves. We'll see the Jets probably jump in war once the Rodgers trade goes through.
Well, I gotta say, for your Derek Carr vitriol, that's pretty good evidence right there. They lost Derek Carr and they're almost neutral in war.
Well, yeah, man. I just don't think I think Carr's fine, man. I don't think that it was just the whole and we talked about this before. It would have been the most Jets move to get Derek Carr. It would have done nothing. Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, same guy. You'll get to the playoffs 2 out of every 3 years.
Oh, and speaking of the Raiders, Jimmy G is the reason why the Niners a little higher than average because he had a lot of wins tied to him. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because they would win with him.
Remember,
yeah,
that makes sense. No, you're right. Yeah. WAR is a big quarterback stat. That makes sense. I didn't really like too much that the Jaguars have done. They kind of rested on the Ridley move. They're going to try to build through the draft. I would really like to see them go for Jackson Smith and Jigba. That would be awesome for them. But they probably won't. Also, Ridley shares would tank after that. Steelers, I know they won't, but don't the Steelers feel like a team that's just like, why didn't you go for a better quarterback?
Or a better offensive coordinator?
Both, man. Like, is there any, like, they should be where the Bucks are. Going Pickett and Canada again? Jesus Christ. What part of that felt good? That might be the most destructive 9-8 ever, where it's like, oh, everybody gets to keep their jobs. Why? Their offense sucks. Deontay Johnson didn't score a touchdown. That should be an automatic firing as an OC. Like, automatic. You should be fired.
Came close a couple times. Had a few overturned. Little bit unlucky. No, not excusing, but I am saying it was a little bit of extreme, variance on that.
I have a dear Steelers fan friend, and he is probably throwing things. He heard Matt Canada right now, and he's probably breaking things in his hotel room. Just like, ah! Like, I can only, like, let's go to Pittsburgh and do a live podcast and just talk about Matt Canada and see how long before we get beat up.
Yeah, we can make that work.
The Yinzers would come after us. Raiders, I guess they gained a lot from Jimmy G, man. We're going to find out, is Jimmy G better than Derek Carr? That's going to be fascinating to see. I don't think he takes up the brothels offer for Sex for Life. That was so annoying how that was like a story where everybody was like, oh, Jimmy G got sex. He has Sex for Life irrespective of that brothel.
Yep.
He is 6'3", 6'4", handsome, generationally rich, and apparently is like the nicest guy in the world. He doesn't need sex for life from a brothel. So can we just like drop that shit? That shit was so annoying. It's like, get the fuck out of here with that. He didn't need that. He didn't need that. Also, like the two girls that offered it to him, not even they weren't good looking. Anyways, sorry. It just I hate when sports sites just go on those like they try to like throw that in there for clicks, and it's just like, who gives a shit? He has that anyway.
Now he has double sex for life.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations. Cowboys. I don't know. Cooks is a big get. Their defense is still cost effective. Is Diggs up for a deal? That's going to be interesting. He's going to be an interesting test case to see if he gets paid or not.
Yeah, they'll probably pay him.
Yeah, but do you want to pay him? That's my question. Do you want to pay Diggs?
End of discussion.
Well. And then, all right, we've been talking about losers a lot. Let's talk about the winners. The Met teams. How did the Cardinals get better? But anyways, the Panthers have gained. I just don't know. How did the Cardinals get because they got rid of Cliff? Is that what happened? They got rid of Cliff?
No, I don't think they count towards WAR, unfortunately.
They should. Panthers, Commanders, and Bears. Those. How did Washington get better? Huh? They overpaid Deron Payne.
What did they bring in?
I know they overpaid Payne.
They bring in a tackle or somebody to play guard.
I don't. What the?
I don't know what they've done.
What did they do? We know the Bears got better, but that's just because they sucked. The Panthers got rid of DJ Moore and still gained 2 WAR.
NFC East. Oh, Jacoby Brissett. Same thing as the Niners. That's a lot of WAR.
What?
Yep. Jacoby Brissett.
Get the.
Oh, they also got Andrew Wiley from the Chiefs.
Okay, that's a pretty good.
Yeah, so they've had a pretty solid offseason, all things considered.
Yeah, they still need a new owner. Texans got better, but that's mostly because they suck. Dolphins. I don't know what didn't the Dolphins do something good? I'm forgetting. I feel like the Dolphins made a good move. Oh yeah, Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, that's kind. And they got
a good move.
And they got Fangio.
We should make all our moves like that.
And they got Fangio.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miami's going to be nice. That's going to be fun. AFC East going to be a monster next year.
Yep.
All right, we got some trades to do. Give the people what they want, since I don't know, no one's answering anyway. Oh, which one should we do? Should I do them combined or should I do them separate? How do we want to do this?
However you want to do it.
All right. It's gonna ask me who I think. It's gonna give me the stupid pop-up. Yep, it did. Oh, let's do the stupid pop-up game. Do a reverse on them where they want free labor out of us, but we're gonna get free labor out of them. Ding, ding, bing, bing, bing. All right. So those of you unfamiliar with Keep Trade Cut, 1, we are not advocating for its usage. We think that it is a general ballpark tool, and it is an abomination that you can use against your fellow Dynasty players.
So in a way, we are for it. We are advocating for its usage.
We just shouldn't use it to justify your trades. because it sucks. But how did this become a thing?
It's a crowdsourced thing. It was
no,
just,
I know, but it felt like just like one day to the next, everybody was just like, "Woo! This is the trade calculator."
Yeah, that's fair.
Wow, here. So Tony Pollard's on the franchise tag. Really good offense as long as McCarthy doesn't fuck it up. I don't think that he will. Michael Pittman. This is a pay year, I think.
Yes,
Attached to Shane.
he's same class as T.
Pay year. Team that will have money with a rookie quarterback on a deal. Attached to Shane Steichen. One could surmise he will play the A.J. Brown role in that offense.
Light.
And then you
Brown light.
Yeah, A.J. Brown light. And then you have Javonte with a regime change to Sean Payton, who is a committee guy to the fullest. I have massive concerns about Javonte. So he's probably my cut here.
Mine as well.
So how they do it is whoever you keep gets the 1 ranking and trade gets the 2 ranking. And that's not how I operate. But let's go by their thing. I probably keep Pittman and trade Pollard by their rankings. But I would do the inverse if I was constructing a roster. I'd rather keep Pollard and trade Pittman.
I think they're actually since the Zeke cut, I think these guys are actually pretty close in ADP right now. Michael Pittman was like mid to late 4th all day long. And Tony Pollard has climbed up from the 7th to about the 5th right now. He's kind of in that zone where, like, if you don't want Najee, if you don't want Swift, if you don't want Javonte, he's kind of in that spot. I think I see merit in Tony Pollard keeping, but I also would understand keeping Michael Pittman just for a longevity standpoint. But if I need one of these guys to produce this year,
Pollard's almost 26 already. People are going to do the whole running back dance. But regardless, we're going to do I don't know all of these players because they don't get free money out of me. Fuck them. I don't answer questions for free. What does this look like? What do I look like to you, a sucker? They're not getting free stuff out of me. All right, so we're looking at a couple trades that I made. We'll do them individually, and then we'll kind of do it in conjunction. It's a league that me and AJ are in together, and I pushed literally all in going into the playoffs. I made a trade where so I regained all of my draft capital, and then I traded literally all of my war chest, all of my draft picks for 3 years for, what was it, like Lamar Jackson, DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, Deontay Foreman, something else, right? Whatever it was. Obviously, Lamar blew up in my face. I think I added Brock Purdy and Calvin Ridley to all the draft picks. So that kind of put my team where it's like I'm kind of stuck between this rock and this hard place. I'm going to have to start making tough decisions. So the first trade that I made was A.J. Brown for Rodgers, Henry, McLaurin, and I got Ingram in there. That was like weeks of like going back and forth with JL. And we came pretty close on a Kirk Cousins and DJ Moore for I think it was Rodgers, Henry, and McLaurin. But I eventually just kind of like was like, I don't know. I'd rather keep Cousins there. Anyways, that was the first trade, right? For our purposes, really disregard keep trade cut because it's going to say that I won the trade here, but AJ Brown's wide receiver 4, and there's no one really above 20 on the right side. I don't care about Evan Ingram being tight end 10. That means nothing to me. And again, just explaining it for people why trade calculators suck. They don't take into account rosters. This is purely in a vacuum. They don't take into account where your roster is, what are your picks, how many do you start? Like it just doesn't take any of that into account. So I'm basically taking on the right side. I'm taking a lot of pieces that can fall off a cliff. And to be fair, I got Rodgers pre-Jet stuff. We assumed he was going to go to the Jets, but it wasn't confirmed yet. So I think context is key there.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to trade, like the fact that, and again, you can't just like plug in numbers to tell a story. Like in what plane of existence is Terry McLaurin just under AJ Brown? Like these numbers, you're like, oh, okay, well, 4 to 6.
To be clear, we're only using keep trade cut because it helps you guys look easier at the trades. Disregard the bottom stuff. This is not meant for anything other than that.
I mean, AJ Brown is in the elite tier of wide receiver you can get. He's probably not Justin Jefferson, and that's really just because Justin Jefferson's a fucking alien. And I think Jamar Chase is kind of in that too. But after those two, I mean, is AJ Brown all that? Like, he is
100%.
a bona fide stud. You don't get bona fide studs by pairing two of any one of these guys in the list together and say, trade offer. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You need to give someone a reason to actually make that trade. Because they have no problem just holding at AJ Brown and competing with it.
Well, I think context is key here because the other side is rebuilding. They won the championship the year before. And this is a move that I advocate a lot. This is a move that I've even executed in this league where if you have multiple assets that are just going to fall off a cliff and you could trade them into a gem, like a diamond asset, which AJ Brown is, he's a top in every startup. He's a top, 16 pick.
Yeah.
He doesn't really go past the 204, 205 right now in full PPR. You do it. I think I did it with Mahomes in our league, and I think it paid off. Here it was just, JL's was fire selling a little bit here. And if you really break it down, it's an L for me on the AJ Brown side because he attached Rodgers is worth a 2 in rookie picks. Henry's worth a 2 in rookie picks. Terry's the 201, 112. Ingram's a 2 generously. Right. Would I trade a late 1 and 3 2s for AJ Brown? No. I'd be like, no, thank you. I'll just keep AJ Brown.
Right. But there's production tied to that. Yeah.
But based on where my roster was at this point, I think it was either I take this deal, get out now, or I'm going to have to sell off Justin Jefferson. Which I think, both of us agree, selling off AJ Brown is much better than selling off Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to make sacrifices, but to me, it was a win-win for both sides. JL gets the premium piece. He can sit on AJ Brown. I'm knowing him. He will sell him at a profit. He will get younger players that he likes. The other trade is who we talked about earlier, where Fortuitous timing for me, right? Getting out of Lamar early. Wow, Bijan's climbing up the ranks.
Yep.
Well, the Bijan buy window might be over. Okay, so I sent Lamar for Mac. Yikes, Mac even dropped from when I bought him. 106. See, that's how stupid KTC is. Do you see that?
That Lamar Jackson's worth the 106 almost.
And Mac Jones.
And Mac Jones.
If someone offered you that and you were the Lamar Jackson owner, what would you do?
Eat shit.
That's an eat shit and die right there. I would literally block the person. I'd be like, go literally. So this is what we're talking about with Keep Trade. You cannot take this thing seriously. If you find any of your league mates and they use Keep Trade Cut religiously, these are the type of trades that you need to send out. Mac Jones in the 106? What? What?
Yeah.
In what world? Oh my God. Anyways, back to reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Amon-Ra. Devontae. So that's that. We should, I guess, add Terry as a placeholder, but that was the next trade executed. And again, it comes down to I don't want to trade Lamar Jackson, but given my team's depth that I didn't have much, I saw this as an opportunity, especially after sending away AJ Brown, just to kind of get some depth and filter out. I definitely got worried about Lamar dropping in value, and I still think that could happen because let's say Lamar ends up a Patriot. That's kind of a doomsday scenario for me. I don't feel good about that if I'm holding Lamar.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's not. I mean, people will be like Bill O'Brien, this or that. I don't know, man. That's kind of scary to me. I could definitely see them playing a ball control offense and winning ball games more than a prolific offense. And I mean, the offer was Mac, Amon-Ra, 106 and the 202. And then I threw in, I countered with Terry for Devontae on top. And that got through. So that, I mean, that's roughly about what it's going to take to get Lamar.
Yeah, and I mean, this is well, how soon do they update stuff off news? Like how do they change
I don't know. That's the problem.
Values updated 14 minutes ago, says it right there.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's consistent as someone like logs in, but
right.
The problem with that is like someone like Marty Pete can just come in and just be like, "Whoop, there you go." I'll keep Rashad Penny over Tony Pollard. You know what I mean? Anyone could come in and fuck these lists up. So what I want to do here is kind of like put the two trades together and show where we're at. So it's basically I had AJ here. No, let's do the other trade. Let's do the Dak and Cousins. And then we'll do in totality. Cousins. Mac. And your new favorite wide receiver.
Stupid Paris Campbell.
Dak. And for me, on the heels of those two trades, I just saw this as kind of like cashing in a little bit of surplus value that was built up a little bit to kind of tear up. My initial offer to Hammy was shout out Hammy if he sees this. He's probably not going to be pleased that I'm going to say this out loud, but he gave me the okay to say it. My initial offer, because I've been on him for CD and Dak. Like I've been trying to get both. And he's basically just told me he's not trading CD under any circumstances, which is fair. I'm not going to argue with that. So then I kind of just tried to like switch to Dak. I have my concerns about Dak, to put it, losing Kellen Moore, I don't think is good for a quarterback, and going to Mike McCarthy, that's definitely a little scary. I like McCarthy better as a head coach, I guess, than as a coordinator. But Cousins and Mac, my initial offer was Cousins, Mac, and 202 for Dak Prescott. And I think he countered to the 106. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then it turned into like a Kirk, Mac, 106 and 202 for Dak and Goddard. And I was like, I don't want Goddard. I'm not buying tight ends right now. I'm just not buying tight end. My one piece of advice for everybody is don't buy tight ends in March.
Or just don't buy tight ends.
I mean, no, I have no problem with buying
until
them.
October.
Make sure you're in the playoffs first, or you
Right.
have a chance, or at least know who's getting the targets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't believe in buying tight ends this early. Like, there's so much that can happen. A running back could run into their legs during a blocking drill and they tear their ACL. Like, anything can happen. It's too early. But so and this is kind of like, I think, a case study for people. If you shoot too high on the counter, it could just like make someone reassess what the hell they're doing. And that's what happened here when he hit me with that counter. I was just like, wait a minute, am I just way too thirsty right now for a quarterback? Like, and I just came to the conclusion, when you look at Kirk Cousins and you look at Dak Prescott's points per game, they're very similar. It may shock people. And again, I think Kirk Cousins is the most undervalued quarterback of the last 5 years in terms of fantasy. In real life, I don't want Kirk Cousins. Please, God, no. Anyone but Kirk Cousins. But in fantasy, the guy is perennially a quarterback one. And like I was telling you before, like Derek Carr we put Derek Carr, and Kirk Cousins side by side in real life. And I think in real life, they very much are the same guy. But in fantasy, Derek Carr has 0 seasons of quarterback one play. 0. Me and you have the same amount of quarterback one seasons. Now, people will point to, oh, he broke his leg. He was on an MVP trajectory. Yeah, still didn't finish the season as a quarterback one. People will point to, oh, he got benched for the last 2 games this season. Again, whatever the circumstances may be, he's never put up a quarterback one season. And our boy, Ben Stunna with the Gunna in Dynasty, Mr. Fantasy Shot Caller. 2 most hated quarterbacks in fantasy for no reason. Yep, Kirk Cousins qualifies as that. I don't know maybe the other one's Dak. Dak has been getting a lot of hate this offseason, but I really came to the conclusion, though, back to what I was saying. I was way too thirsty, and I was fine keeping Kirk and Mac and riding that out. Like, for one season, do we know what's going to happen with Kirk moving forward? No. But in terms of a season, I'd rather bank on the upside of Mac there. And the draft pick would have just been overkill for me for Dak.
Right.
I'm now just sending Kirk and Mac for Dak. I like that a little bit better because it insulates it insulates some risk on my end, and Hammy is kind of in a rebuild there. So he can pedal off Kirk for whatever he wants. And he can bank on the upside of Mac because he also has the 103. Now that's what trade calculators don't encompass. What do you own and what does this trade do for you? It opens up so many more avenues for Hammy because he has the 103 that's guaranteed to be a quarterback, right? It's Bryce or Stroud or Richardson. But he has Dak. Doesn't really help him there. Now he's opened up where he has 3 quarterbacks. I really like the trade for him. Initially he probably should have taken my offer of Cousins, Mac, and the 202, but I'm glad he didn't, and I'm glad I came to my senses here. But how do you feel about this one?
It's funny because we were talking in the group chat today, JL and I don't know if you caught it, but we were talking about Dak versus Watson.
Okay.
And I've kind of been down on Dak. He's a guy that I just kind of feel like he's peaked almost.
Okay.
Could be some recency going on there, but I do feel like there might be a little more juice left in the tank for him. Like just, I don't think he's going to drop off a cliff, but when it comes to conversations with him being elite, I tend to leave him out pretty definitively. I think he's good enough to bounce in that 6 to 12 on occasion. But you need stuff to go right. So I think like I really, as you're talking about the deal, I had to keep going over my head. It's like, okay, so it's not actually the compensation. It's just, I just don't want Dak because if you're asking me right now, in quite a few cases, I might even want just Kirk Cousins over Dak Prescott, pure production. So even as someone that does not like Mac Jones either, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a relatively straight line between Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott, and I'm getting a young piece back. So
I don't like the uncertainty of Cousins moving forward. I don't think that he goes. I don't think he will be a Viking next year, but I also think that he will get a starting job somewhere.
I'm honestly surprised he hasn't retired yet because that man has made a ton of money for a mercenary quarterback. He has made a killing.
I just don't.
One of the things that keeps me from trading for him a lot is because I can't trust what's going to happen because it's just 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. And I hate when teams do that because you can't trust it.
Well, that's why I wanted to insulate myself there. I'd rather sacrifice Mac Jones there and get Dak.
And again, that's also what I'm seeing is that I'm not really that huge fan of Mac Jones. So if I am really just seeking what you're seeking, I understand it too. But
this is also coming up.
I see both sides and look at the difference on the calculator.
This is coming.
You lost this by a landslide.
That's a landslide. I lost the equivalent of the 212.
No, what I'm saying is the calculator is saying you lost this by a landslide. When I just said I see reasons for both of this trade.
Yeah, no. So for me, it was just also, and I mean, I've tried to sell Kirk to everybody. This isn't just yeah,
you did. Maybe I should have clicked accept.
This is on the heels of I've tried to sell Kirk to everybody, and it's just all right, the market just. Each league is a different market. You can't just be oh, this person is this. The league will set the market. And for me, it was just I just didn't want to be stuck with Kirk, and I was willing to eat a little bit of a loss there. Hell, my initial was the 202, and I was just I'm glad he didn't accept it because that would have been terrible.
Yeah.
I would have been fuck. I disagree a little bit on Dak. I just think I like buying some quarterbacks on career years. I especially like buying certain quarterbacks on career years when their teams really don't have any other recourse. Because where the hell else is Dallas going to go? They, as much as like we could be like, oh, they could get rid of Dak. Can they really? Look at what happened to Washington with Cousins. I think they have no real recourse other than they have to pay Dak there.
Oh, my feelings on Dak aren't rooted in he's gonna not have a job or something like that. I don't think he's gonna be. He's probably gonna retire as a Cowboy, or maybe finish another year or two somewhere else. But I
Yeah.
just it's just about how I view his weekly performance. How he there's always a reason, and I don't see that getting better when you had a prime opportunity to have another year of Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and didn't work out that way.
Yeah. I think it'll be fine. Unfortunately, it's I had to sacrifice some people. What else did I get? I got the 106,
And then the second rounder.
202. Fuck. Henry, Rogers, Ingram. I think that's it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Was Terry in there?
I didn't. So in practice, there's really he's part of AJ Brown.
Oh, right. You're right.
So he just replaced Devontae Smith. Just replaces him. That's kind of like in totality there what happened.
Yeah.
Again, like,
Which is beautiful.
it's our. I mean, it's. I mean, it's as good as I'm going to feel trading out Lamar and AJ. I think I did a good job of insulating risk. And these are the trades that you have to make some tough decisions. But also, it takes certain league mates. I mean, it takes you just gotta be careful in some places. Like now, JMM has Lamar and Allen, and he still has a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So this is the fruits of him just building up. But if you told me where I mean, I had Deontay Foreman and Juju Smith-Schuster in flex spots at the end of the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's tough, man. We have a tough league, and it's not. It's also like holding pieces, not being willing to move, and also I'm also playing with like I have no draft picks, so I think it's just catching things at certain times, and it's fair, and also being willing to take L's on certain trades, like maybe Kirk Cousins and Mac Jones for Dak Prescott. Maybe that's a loss, but now in a lineup start league, I don't have to play am I going to start Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins this week? Like I don't have to play that game anymore. But yeah, from where we were, it looked like I was kind of like shit out of luck. There are certain trade partners in that league that kind of told me as such. And they told me to go F myself on certain trades. And I was just kind of like, all right, I guess. But yeah, no, and again, look, keep trade cut is going to say whatever. But I don't know, man. I think I just made things more fluid for other trades. It doesn't take into account that like in a year's time, Henry, Rodgers can be nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
They could be absolutely nothing. Ingram can be nothing. You as a Giants fan can attest to that. He can turn back to dust.
Yeah.
The 106 can miss. The 202 can miss. Like those are, if all of this goes away in a year, Now what does the trade look like? You know what I mean? So that's where I think trade calculators are a little skewed, and you can't really like just go by them because you have to do some kind of projection here. There's a lot of pieces there that can just go away in a year. That could just disappear. 106 I could miss. I could draft Gibbs, and what if he suffers a Liz Frank like ETN? Done. 202. I don't know who's going to be at the 202. It's not Charbonnet, right? I don't know. Maybe I get drunk and I draft Hendon Hooker. Like, you know, there's certain. It's you can't always go by the calculator and be like, oh, I won, because that's what it could look like in a year. That could be what the trade is. Lamar could be QB1 again. AJ Brown could have another top 5 year. Kirk Cousins could end up in San Francisco.
Please, God, no.
Do we have any other trades? I feel like there was another trade to talk about that I'm forgetting. What else did we have?
I didn't have anything for you this time.
I feel like we're missing one. Didn't one happen? I feel like one happened in our league that I'm forgetting.
Well, I picked up Purdy before the news.
Where?
In our league.
Jen?
Yeah.
What? I missed that. For what?
Oh yeah, it was Purdy and Baker for
you got Purdy and Baker?
Two. Yeah.
For what?
Future 2.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that look like now?
A little better. It was just like I told them, I was like, look, I already have like
I don't remember that trade, and I'm usually up on top of it. What does that look like? You son of a bitch.
Yeah. So I was like, this is all I have left. It's an all-in push. I've got 4 or 5 quarterbacks. I don't know if I want to send a future 2 for like a 5th or 6th quarterback.
Shout
basically
out
what I told them.
What is it, a 24 mid-second? Let's say mid,
yep.
just not being rude, but that's kind of how I always look at it.
That's usually the default. You just
just mid. Wow, Purdy's quarterback 28 now. And Baker's what, 32? That makes sense to me. He's QB 34. There's no way Kyle Trask beats Baker Mayfield, right?
I don't know, man.
You got Purdy
offered Baker
before the news?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, Purdy's gonna jump. I think Purdy probably jumps to like QB 20. I'm surprised I'm surprised he did that. A little surprised Ewok did that because he was. I don't want to say it was a deal breaker. In where I sent him all my picks for Lamar and company.
Yeah.
But I was trying to negotiate keeping Purdy. I didn't want to send Brock. I actually think had I kept Brock Purdy, I might have won the championship. I really didn't want to send Brock Purdy. And he was like, "Come on, man." he was like, "Come on."
And then you're
man.
like, "Yeah, I know."
He was like, "Come on, man." He's like, "I'm taking 3 drafts here. He's like, give me the guy you got on waivers 2 weeks ago." And I was like, all right. I think I spent all my money on Purdy as well. Shout out me.
Yeah.
All right. We made it to 2 hours. Next on tap for us, we're probably going to try to bring you guys manipulate the calculator, where we'll just go through keep, trade, cut, and just try to show you, like, if you find league mates, if you can find the calculator that they're using, it's a massive advantage. If people are going to adhere to the calculators, that gives you such a massive advantage, and you can take advantage of that, especially in startups. In startups, it's the biggest win. But other than that, we got number 10 in the books, man. Till next time.
Yep.
Any other questions? 5, 4, 3, 2. Nope. We're out. Till next time, guys.